Welcome to Live, life-inspired views for every day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. On a Sunday years ago, I sat next to an international student in our college town during church. When the offering plate was passed, I noticed that she looked in her wallet and saw only a $20 bill. I knew she did not have much money at all, but she looked at that bill for just a minute, and I can only imagine how her mind was racing with the decision just to pass the plate or put in her last dollars. Suddenly, she snatched the $20 bill and put it in the plate. We've all been at those crossroads when we are faced with giving or holding back. But don't you always feel so much better when you err on the side of giving than when we selfishly hold back? We do have to be wise, but when it comes to certain situations, giving always feels so good. My husband Donnie spent most of his career as a fundraiser for two different colleges, Waldorf University and Wartburg College, both in Iowa. He always told me, give until it feels good. What a wonderful motto by which to live. Long ago, I remember riding home with my dad from one of his country churches after Thanksgiving services. We were talking about the telescope he'd made from scratch. And he said, gave that to someone. I wonder who I gave it to. Wow, that statement made a lifelong impact on me. All my life, he and Mom had modeled graciousness, just freely giving. I wanted to be like that. So let me tell you a story. There was a monk who was walking down the village path when he spied something shiny in the dirt. He picked up what he knew immediately was a precious gem. He wiped it off and put it in his satchel, then continued his walk. Soon he met a beggar who asked for just a crust of bread as he was so hungry. The monk said, "Sure," and he reached in his satchel to give him the bread. But when he did that, the beggar spied the gem and asked if he could have that instead. The monk said, "Sure," and just gave it to him. They parted, and in the afternoon, the monk was making his way down the path again when he saw the beggar making his way toward him. When they came close, the beggar held out the gem, intending to give it back. The monk asked, "Don't you want it?" And the beggar replied, "No, I want whatever it is that you have that allowed you to give it away so freely, for that is what is most precious." Wow. The gift of giving. I believe we can learn the art of giving. I have always said that my ungift is gift giving. I don't think of giving gifts, little gifts to people all the time, just like some people do. And when it comes to buying gifts, I just don't have the knack. I always want to make it look bigger and better, but it seems always never to be so. It's just a really hard thing for me to do. I wish I was better at gift giving. What is the most important thing is that when you share yourself, that is a gift. You share who you are. That's a gift. Gifts can be tangible, and they can also be made of time and heartfelt caring. It reminds me of an African student that a missionary had in her school. One Christmas, the missionary teacher received a beautiful shell from the student. The teacher knew it had come from the other side of the island, and she also knew it was a difficult journey to get that shell. The teacher shared her joy and amazement at such a beautiful shell and such a kind gift. Then the teacher said, "You must have had to walk a long way to get it." The student replied excitedly, "Oh, yes, the journey was part of the gift." Remember that when you give and when you receive. Sometimes the gift has more parts, and we must recognize that. It was a cold December day, kind of like the ones we're experiencing. It was the kind of day when one wished that they had done their Christmas shopping in July. And on that day, there was a shopper walking home when she saw a forlorn figure on a park bench. He had no socks, and he'd taken a paper bag and folded it around his neck in a feeble attempt to keep out the cold. She paused and looked at him and thought, what a pity. But really, what could she do, As she stood there for a moment, another shopper happened by. It was a little girl, perhaps 10. She had a red woolen scarf around her neck. She too saw that old man and went and stood by his side. Then the shopper watched as this little girl unwrapped the scarf from around her neck and draped it around the man's. Then she slipped away. The man felt the warm scarf with his cold fingers. Then the shopper crept away, wishing it had been she who'd given the red woolen scarf. Remember, there is always something we can give. A helping hand, a kind word, a prayer, or a red scarf. This is the season of giving. But this year, make a pledge to make it into a habit the year through. I know you will feel as good as you make those who are on the receiving end of your grace. So this week, on your bathroom mirror, write, give until it feels good. Join me next Monday for Live, life-inspired views for every day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.